You're about to see 7 ways hackers are breaking into smart homes right now, not through a broken window or a picked lock, but through the exact devices you installed to feel safer. Security cameras, smart locks, baby monitors, even the router sitting quietly in your living room. All of it can be turned against you, and most people have no idea it's already happening in homes just like theirs. Before we get into it, if you're new here, hit the liker and subscribe button and turn on that notification bell, because smart home vulnerabilities get discovered and exploited constantly, and I break down the new ones the moment they start spreading. If you've got even one connected device in your house, and at this point almost everyone does, this is exactly the video you need to watch. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how these 7 attacks work, and I'll give you 3 habits that protect you from nearly all of them at once. Recent research tracking attacks on consumer smart devices found an average of 29 attack attempts per home every single day, nearly triple what it was just the year before. Let's start with number 7. 7. Your device become part of someone else's attack. At number 7, and this is the one that can be happening in your home right now without you noticing anything at all, a hacker doesn't need to care about you specifically. They need your device's processing power and your internet connection. Smart plugs, connected light bulbs, streaming devices, even smart thermostats get scanned automatically by malware that searches the internet for devices still running default factory passwords. Once found, the device gets quietly infected and recruited into what's called a botnet, a network of thousands or even millions of hijacked devices controlled remotely by a single attacker. From there, your device becomes a soldier in someone else's war, sometimes used to flood a company's servers with traffic until the site crashes, sometimes rented out to other criminals as part of a larger attack-for-hire operation. Security researchers have documented botnet attacks reaching over 1.7 terabits per second, powerful enough to threaten the internet infrastructure of an entire country, built from ordinary household devices exactly like the one sitting in your home right now. Here's the lesser-known part that makes this one so unsettling. Your smart plug still works completely normally the entire time. Your lights still turn on. Your thermostat still adjusts the temperature. There's no obvious sign anything is wrong because the attacker doesn't want your device to break. They want it to keep running quietly in the background indefinitely without you ever suspecting a thing. Cheap, low-cost, smart devices are disproportionately targeted for exactly this reason. Budget manufacturers frequently rush products to market with minimal security testing, which means a device you might have bought purely for convenience. A decorative lamp switch, a basic smart plug for a fan, can end up serving as the single weak point that compromises everything. Automated scanning tools now search millions of IP addresses simultaneously looking for exactly these vulnerabilities, meaning the process of finding and infecting a poorly secured device isn't targeted or personal at all. It's simply a numbers game, and an unprotected device is found far faster than most people would expect. You won't believe what's coming up next, because this one doesn't just hijack a single device. It hands over control of everything connected to your home at once. 6. The router that hands over your entire home. Number 6. The router hijack, and this is the one that makes every other device on this list dramatically more vulnerable the moment it happens. Your router is the single connection point between every smart device in your home and the internet. When a hacker compromises it, they don't just gain access to one device. They gain what's called a man-in-the-middle position, meaning they can quietly inspect and even manipulate every piece of traffic passing between your devices and the outside world. Earlier this year, researchers exposed a toolkit specifically built to compromise home routers and gateway devices this exact way, capable of hijacking software update channels to slip malicious code directly into what looks like a normal, legitimate app update. What surprises most people once they understand it is that nearly all of the data flowing between typical smart home devices and their servers is completely unencrypted, sent in plain, readable text. That means once a router is compromised, an attacker doesn't need to break any code or crack any password to read what's happening across your network. There's simply nothing encrypted to break in the first place. Commands, credentials, and footage from your own devices can be intercepted, read, and in some cases altered, all without triggering a single warning anywhere in your home. This is exactly why router security gets described by researchers as the master key to an entire smart home. Compromise the router, and every other device connected to it becomes significantly easier to reach, regardless of how secure that individual device might otherwise be. It's worth understanding why this particular vulnerability has proven so difficult to fully close, Routers sit at an awkward point in most households, treated as a one-time setup step rather than an ongoing responsibility. Once it's plugged in and the Wi-Fi works, most people never open its settings again, never check for firmware updates, and never change the administrative password from whatever it's shipped with. That combination of being simultaneously the most critical and most neglected device in the entire home is exactly what makes it such a consistently attractive target. I'm sure you've seen an ad for this next one because it promises something that sounds too good to pass up, and that's exactly the point. 5. The free streaming box that's secretly working for someone else. At number 5, and this is the one federal investigators have specifically and directly warned Americans about. The pitch is simple. A small streaming device sold online or at a flea market promising free access to premium television, movies, and live sports, all without a subscription. It plugs into your TV, connects to your home Wi-Fi, and appears to work exactly as advertised. What most buyers never realize is that alongside the free content, the device is frequently preloaded with malware specifically designed to quietly turn your home internet connection into cover infrastructure for much larger criminal and even nation-state operations. What makes this scam genuinely different from most others on this list is simple. You're often not the actual target at all. Your internet connection is simply a valuable, disposable resource, one address among thousands being used to route and disguise traffic for people committing crimes entirely unrelated to you. But that doesn't mean there are no consequences. If your home's internet address becomes associated with fraud or intrusion attempts happening somewhere else entirely, you can face blocked accounts, unexpected security checks, or direct scrutiny from your own internet provider, all triggered by activity you never actually engaged in. Federal investigators have explicitly recommended avoiding these generic streaming devices altogether, specifically because of how frequently this exact pattern shows up once a device gets properly examined. What makes this scam particularly effective is the incentive structure behind it. The person buying the device genuinely gets what they were promised. Free movies play, live sports stream without issue. There's no obvious moment where anything feels wrong, no failed setup, no error message, which means there's rarely any reason for the average buyer to ever suspect their new streaming box is doing anything beyond exactly what it appears to be doing on the surface. You're not going to see this next one coming because it doesn't come from a stranger halfway across the world. It comes from a device sitting a few feet from where your child sleeps. Wait before we continue. Best to protect yourself online, not just at home. Right now, while you are watching this, someone might be tracking every website you visit, every search you run, and every message you send. Your internet provider, your router, that coffee shop Wi-Fi from last Tuesday, all of it logged. All of it for sale. NordVPN fixes that. One app encrypts your connection, masks your IP, and now includes a built-in antivirus that blocks malware and phishing in real time. Over 9,500 servers, up to 10 devices, dark web monitor included. Check the link in the description and get 76% off right now, plus 3 months free. Now back to the video. 4. The camera watching the room you trust most. And this is the one that hits differently than anything else on this list, because of exactly where these devices tend to be placed. Security researchers examining a widely used camera and baby monitor platform in 2026 found a genuinely alarming set of vulnerabilities. Motion-triggered snapshots from inside people's homes were being uploaded to public cloud storage with links that required no login at all, meaning anyone who obtained the link could view them. A separate flaw exposed each device's external location by simply querying its serial number, no authentication required whatsoever. Perhaps most concerning of all, the cryptographic keys meant to protect these devices were found hard-coded identically across the entire platform, meaning a flaw discovered in one device effectively exposed millions of others using the exact same underlying system. One security report tracking this exact category of device estimated roughly 1 million baby monitor feeds have been left exposed and accessible in this way. The root cause behind nearly every one of these cases traces back to the same basic failure. Manufacturers ship these devices with default, generic passwords, sometimes as simple as admin paired with admin, specifically to make setup easier for the average buyer. Hackers maintain organized, searchable databases of exactly these default credentials, which means a device left on its factory settings can often be breached in a matter of seconds, not hours or days. What makes this category so much worse than a typical data breach is what criminals do once they're actually inside. This isn't stolen information sitting quietly in a database. It's a live view into someone's home. And in documented cases, attackers have used exactly that access to record footage over an extended period before contacting victims directly to demand payment in exchange for not releasing what they'd captured. Victims frequently have no idea how long they were being watched before that first contact arrives, because the camera keeps functioning completely normally the entire time, no warning light, no unusual behavior, nothing to signal a stranger has been quietly present in the most private moments of someone's home life. The defense against this one starts at setup, not after the fact. Any camera placed inside a bedroom, nursery, or bathroom needs a unique, strong password immediately, never the default one it's shipped with, along with two-factor authentication turned on wherever the device supports it. And if a threat like this ever does arrive, the recommended path is reporting it to law enforcement rather than paying quietly, since payment offers no real guarantee the footage won't surface again anyway. You'll be surprised by the next one because it doesn't touch your privacy at all. It simply takes your own device and locks you out of it. 3. The device held hostage in your own home. And this is the point where smart home hijacking stops being about privacy entirely and becomes a direct, functional attack on the devices you rely on every day. Instead of watching or listening, this version locks you out of your own device's basic functions until you pay to get control back, the same extortion logic behind traditional ransomware, just aimed at a thermostat, a smart appliance, or a connected security panel instead of a computer. A compromised smart thermostat can be remotely set to an extreme temperature and locked so the homeowner can't adjust it. A smart lock or security panel can be frozen in a disabled state. Either way, a message appears somewhere on the device or its connected app demanding payment before normal control is restored. What makes this attack particularly disruptive is how immediate and physical the consequences are. A locked thermostat in the middle of a heat wave or a winter freeze isn't an abstract inconvenience, it's a real problem that needs solving right now, and that urgency is exactly what the tactic is designed to manufacture. Victims are pushed toward paying quickly simply to restore basic comfort or function in their own home, often before they've had time to consider whether a factory reset or a call to the manufacturer could resolve the same problem for free. A simple habit defeats most versions of this before it ever starts. Know how to fully factory reset every major smart device in your home before you ever need to, and keep that process written down somewhere accessible. In a meaningful share of these cases, a full reset restores control without requiring any payment at all, but only if you already know how to do it under pressure. This next one might be the most physically dangerous entry on the entire list, because it doesn't stop at your data. It opens your actual front door. 2. The smart lock that lets itself open. The smart lock hijack, and this is the exact point where a cybersecurity problem crosses over into an old-fashioned home invasion. A smart lock connected to a compromised home network can potentially be unlocked remotely by an attacker without ever needing to be physically present at your front door. In some documented cases, criminals who've gained this kind of access haven't used it to break in themselves at all. Instead, they've used it to remotely let an accomplice inside while the actual homeowner is away, effectively turning a home security upgrade into an open invitation. Here's the detail that turns this from unsettling into genuinely dangerous. Beyond simply unlocking the door, attackers with this level of access can monitor a smart lock's full activity log, learning exactly when residents typically leave for work, when they usually return, and when a home is most reliably empty. That's not a vague privacy concern anymore. That's a criminal building a real, detailed schedule of exactly when your home is safest for them to target, using information your own security device handed them for free. Closing this gap doesn't take much, but it does take intention. Smart locks need to be set up with unique credentials immediately, kept updated with the latest security patches the moment they're released, and ideally placed on a separate, isolated part of your home network specifically, so that a breach somewhere else in your smart home doesn't automatically extend to your literal front door. What makes this particular category of attack stand apart from everything else on this list is how directly it collapses the line between the digital and the physical. Every other entry so far has involved data, footage, or bandwidth being stolen or misused. This one involves the literal barrier between your family and a stranger standing outside your home, controlled by the exact same kind of vulnerability that might otherwise just expose a password. And now, the one I've saved for last because it's the newest, strangest, and honestly the most unsettling entry on this entire list. 1. The voice that sounds exactly like someone you trust. taking the #1 spot, the AI voice-cloned smart speaker command, because this is the attack that doesn't rely on breaking anything technical at all. It relies on breaking your judgment in the exact instant you're least prepared to question what you're hearing. A hacker who's already gained some level of access to a smart home system doesn't need to fumble around trying to disable security features manually. Instead, using a cloned voice built from just a few seconds of real audio, often pulled from social media or old video calls, they can generate a command that sounds exactly like a spouse, a partner, or another trusted member of the household, delivered directly through the home's own smart speaker or connected assistant. A notification appears. A familiar voice asks for something that sounds routine, maybe confirming a security setting, maybe authorizing a change. Because it sounds exactly like someone you live with and trust completely, most people respond instinctively, without a second thought. What makes this particular attack so effective is that it doesn't ask you to click a suspicious link or type a password into a fake website. It simply asks you to say yes out loud to something that already sounds completely normal, coming from a voice you have absolutely no reason to doubt in that specific moment. The single defense that actually works here mirrors the exact same principle that protects against AI voice cloning everywhere else. Treat any unexpected request to change a security setting, disable a sensor, or grant new access as something worth verifying directly with that person, in person or through a channel you already trust, regardless of how convincing or familiar the voice sounds coming through your speaker. This attack earns the #1 spot for a reason that ties the entire list together. Every other entry on this countdown targets a weakness in a device, a network, or a piece of software. This one targets a weakness in you, specifically the instinct to trust a familiar voice without question. An instinct that served people well for their entire lives, right up until the exact moment technology learned how to convincingly fake it. Here's the good news. You don't need 7 different defenses for 7 different attacks. These 3 habits protect you against almost all of them at once. 1. Change every default password the moment you set up a new device, no exceptions. This single habit defeats the single most common entry point across nearly every attack on this list, from botnet recruitment to camera breaches to smart lock hijacking. If a device still has admin and admin, or any password you didn't personally set, treat it as unprotected until you fix it. 2. Keep every smart device updated, and check for updates regularly rather than waiting for a notification. Many manufacturers release security patches the moment a vulnerability is discovered, but a significant share of affected devices remain unpatched for months simply because owners never realized an update was available. Set a recurring reminder to check your device's apps for updates at least once a month. 3. Put your smart home devices on a separate network from your personal computers and phones. Most modern routers support a guest network specifically for this purpose. If one smart device does get compromised, keeping it isolated on its own network prevents that breach from spreading to your laptop, your phone, or anything else containing your actual sensitive information. That's 7 ways hackers are hijacking smart homes right now, and 3 habits that protect you from nearly all of them at once. None of this means you need to rip every smart device out of your house. It means treating each one the way you'd treat a real front door lock. Or setting up properly the first time, not an afterthought you configure once and never think about again. If this changed how you're going to set up your next smart device, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me which one of these surprised you the most. Share this with anyone in your life who has a smart camera, a smart lock, or a baby monitor in their home, because most people genuinely have no idea any of this is possible until it's already happened to them. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this exact category of attack keeps evolving, and I'll be right here breaking down the next one the moment it starts spreading. Stay sharp, stay safe, and watch the next videos.